Welcome back in, everybody, to a Wednesday edition of Birds 365 here on JAKIB Sports. I'm your host, Zander Krause. Drop me a follow at Real Zander. That's my co-host, John McMullen. Drop him a follow at JF McMullen.
I'm in the protocol. I'm in the protocol during the break.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'll pass through
it. Johnny Max banging the head against the wall. I'm feeling like Jody. I've had John banging his head against the wall so much in the last couple of weeks. John, it's time for the Bryce Huff segment. We just brought him up a little bit in the last segment there when we had a super chat about Trayvon Walker. What has Bryce Huff shown you? Is he still on the milk carton? Is he just going to be a rotational piece? Could he still turn it around? Where are you on Bryce Huff, Johnny Mac?
I don't think Vic likes him very much, and I think this is it. I think he's playing a little bit better, and they've scaled back.
Like he's getting around a little bit better. Not getting home, but he is getting a little bit more pressure.
No, he's been, to me, he'll be, the rotational player, and when it comes to Brandon Graham, they seem to be, having him more on a pitch count. But if it's a close game, again, I go back to depending on the personality of the game. I think that'll affect Brandon snaps. They'll try to keep him on the pitch count. And then when it comes to Nolan Smith and Bryce Huff, I think basically it'll be, who's got the hot hand will play more on a particular Sunday. And I think that's where you're going to be. Unfortunately. Yeah, it hasn't been great. And it hasn't been terrible, though. I think that's overrated. I don't think he's been a terrible player, but I do think, the hopes I had for him are nowhere close. And he's not been what the Eagles projected him to be, is fair to say. And I don't think it's coming. I don't think you turn on the light switch, but I do find it very hard to picture. And Beck kind of talked about this yesterday about trade deadline things and he doesn't particularly like them because, it's not like baseball. It's not like pitcher versus batter. You just you can put somebody in San Diego and put them in Philadelphia the next day, and it's the same thing. He's just going to hit, and he can. It's easy. Now there's some human transitions, moving across country, and all that kind of stuff that affects people, but just from the nature of the game,
he didn't really move across the country.
No, I'm talking about in my baseball analogy. I'm saying it's easy. It's easy to put somebody in a lineup and they just play defense and they just bat against a pitcher. It's easy. It doesn't change. In football, you got different schemes, different things, and it's not working out with Bryce Huff. But I'm not talking about Bryce Huff. I'm talking about a potential
I got you.
Trade acquisition. And Vic is pretty clear that he's not all that gung-ho about picking somebody up in week 9, who's going to help drastically. So I think it's going to be Josh Sweat, Brandon Graham, Bryce Huff, Nolan Smith. I think that's what you got.
Nolan Smith looks way better than him right now to me as a 3-down player. He can play the run better. He's setting the edge better. I know he hasn't shown enough to crown him, but he has showed signs of improvement. Here's Bryce Huff's stats for everybody. We're through 7 games. 5 started. He started 5 of them, which you've seen in the last couple. I think he started with Nolan Smith out there, but 1.5 sacks, 8 combination tackles, and 4 solo tackles, 1 tackle for loss.
I don't care about tackles, but
I don't either. But I'm just giving the stat in the line. And 3 QB hits. So, $17 million edge rusher, John. That's not going to cut it, especially the 1.5 sacks. Now, do you have his pressure percentages or anything like that? Like you and Jody used to talk about. And I would always.
Yeah, they're not.
It's not all about the sack. If you move the quarterback off his spot or get a pressure in his face, you could force an incompletion. That matters too.
Yeah, you haven't seen it. No, you haven't seen it. Like he was near I don't have the numbers. I can try to find them, but he was near. He led the league in one of the past 2 years with the Jets, and he was top 5 in both the last. Now, granted, very limited snap counts and all that kind of stuff. So you put that in there, but yeah, he hasn't been that guy here, and that's been one of the disappointments. That's been one of the disappointments. So Aiden Hutchinson's number 1. I only got the top 20, and he ain't
I
in
would
it.
assume Bryce is not on that list.
No, he is not in it. And that's, there's different ones. This is ESPN's pass rush win rankings, which, some of these stats you got to take with a grain of salt,
I
but
would agree.
it's all the names that you would expect. Aiden Hutchinson, Myles Garrett, Trey Hendrickson. We don't talk enough about Fred Johnson's job. I asked Kellen Moore about that. That was, if you talk about the first 7 games of the season, that is the most. It's between Zach Bond in week 1 against Green Bay. I was mesmerized by that performance, and Fred Johnson against Cincinnati. Mesmerized. Didn't see it coming.
Fred
Thought
Johnson,
it would be a freaking nightmare for the Eagles. Trey Hendrickson did nothing. Nothing. And he's 3rd in the NFL in pass rush win rates, even with that performance, by the way. Nothing. You never know in this league. It's crazy.
So the takeaway is Bryce Huff sucks.
It hasn't been good. He hasn't been good this year. I'll say that. Everybody in New York thinks he can play, and everybody's here like he sucks. I can't even tell you. I can't even explain it. Because everybody who saw him in New York is like, this guy, Jets made a mistake, and
Yeah, but
blah,
some
blah,
people
blah.
thrive in rotational roles, right? I mean, he's
Well, he is in a
elevated.
rotational role.
I know.
He's not
I'm
playing
trying to
3
give the guy
downs.
something, John. I'm trying to give him
Yeah, that's one of those things. It's like, well, he's trying to be. No, he's not. They pulled the plug on that long ago.
So he sucks. It just sucks. Normally, John keeps me in the middle. He sucks. That's what John's telling me right now. He sucks. The guy sucks. We signed $17 million. We needed a
No,
productive edge
I
rusher.
could say he hasn't been as bad as people.
I mean, he's been pretty bad.
Well, from the expectation, again, everything's based.
Well, not even just from the expectation. I agree. There's always an expectation of people, but like your contract comes with an expectation. He's so far below that. It's not even, forget what people think. Forget what I think. Forget what you think. Forget what even coaches think. He was paid to be a productive edge rusher. He's performing like a perennial
but
backup.
I just push back on the sucks. Like, all right, I'm trying to look it up.
Well, nobody sucks. It's the NFL. I mean, sucks
Yeah.
for his contract.
So, but no, even from the general, they have. All right, we'll use PFF grades to get. Who's the guy who hates PFF?
Prince.
To get Prince excited. 113 edge rushers graded this year. Bryce is 68th. So there's a lot of shittier edge rushers, believe it or not. Bud Dupree, 113 of 113, by the way. Congratulations, Bud. So, he hasn't been as bad as people think, but it hasn't been near what the Eagles were expecting.
No doubt about that. Let's get to our commercial. Yep, no doubt. Bryce Huff on the milk carton. He will be perpetually on the milk carton until further notice. Maybe he'll come alive with a big week coming up against the Jags. They did just get rid of their left tackle. Who's their right tackle? They don't still have like Jawan Taylor, do they? Who do they have over there?
The Jags, Walker Little is going to be playing left tackle. I forget who there. I'll look it up in the break.
Let me see if I can find it.
Walker Little, yeah. So the Eagles, by the way, yeah. So big day, potential big opportunity for Josh Sweat and company.
Anton Harrison. Does
Anton
that sound right?
Harrison. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anton Harrison.
All right, Bryce. Maybe this is the week that Bryce Huff
That's
gets
more of
off the
a,
school bus.
maybe. I doubt it, but maybe.
Maybe it is. We got BLG in the green room. I'll skip the break.